Hello there, people of the internet. We are back again with another Pikmin 3 Deluxe video. It's your boy, the Pikmin Deluxe Speedrunner. And today I wanted to present to you a little bit of a fun video idea that I thought would kind of showcase some of the new things that I have observed in the Pikmin 3 Deluxe demo. Now, for many, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, from the outsider's perspective, kind of seems just like another Wii U port. But if you are like me and you are a hardcore nerd for the Pikmin series and you know the minute details about each of the environments and you've micromanaged at least Pikmin 3 to its fullest extent since it has come out, then you would know that this is kind of a drastically different experience to vanilla Pikmin 3 on the Wii U. It might be a little hard to quantify that without really making some sort of comparison between the two versions, so I thought, why don't we do that today? Why don't I put side by side for you the Wii U version of Pikmin 3 and the Switch version in Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and compare them to see, one, which one is faster, and two, which one may be the preferable way to play. Now, if you probably already know how this is going to end. All right, you probably already know what I'm going to say and how it's going to end. But buy Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Just buy it. What's wrong with you? Just buy it. Okay, in any case, this video will showcase the two major things that are in the Pikmin 3 Deluxe demo. That is the first collect treasure mission, and then day 2 of the story campaign. Now, in day 2, I managed to beat the Armored Mada, the boss, within the first day on both the Wii U and the Switch versions of the game, so I have a side-by-side comparison of how long it will take for you to do that there. Keep in mind, these will all be variable. I'm not perfect, I'm prone to making mistakes, and I've tried shooting these multiple times now. So while one may be faster than the other in certain regards, because of certain things that they've added into the game, you also kind of have to keep in mind that part of it is, hey, I might have messed up a little control feature, but I think that's kind of part of the video as well. You know, one game may be more optimized to have less fidgeting and problems with controls versus another version of the game that has less fidgeting and less issues, but you know, I'm rambling at this point. Okay, let's get into it. The first thing we will show off is the collect treasures. Now, I will be commentating over each of the games here. You'll be getting the audio mainly from the Switch version, just so you know. So as you see, we're starting off, and it's already not looking good for the Wii U game. It has already fallen behind because of the load time. So Switch is already a couple seconds ahead. The first thing to notice about collect treasures here is, well, the HUD is a little different in terms of the zoom and lock-on features. So in vanilla Pikmin 3 on the Wii U, you had the kind of lock-on that kind of zoomed into the location that you were going to lock onto, and then you kind of shook the nunchuck and sent your squad of Pikmin out at once. The upside to this lock-on system compared to the Switch version is that you could lock on and all of your Pikmin would go swarming at once, which is kind of an upside. Like, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because then you can go faster, but then say you want to maybe send only one version or one type of Pikmin out to an area, because rock Pikmin can't hit sand walls, or red Pikmin can't hit the glass walls, or maybe you just want to hit a fire enemy. It helps to have that flexibility in the Switch version where it sends off one type of Pikmin at a time. But if you just want to be faster, like in the case of this here, then sending off both types of Pikmin at once is a little more advantageous. It's really only like the difference of a second, but it does feel, you know, a little slower in the Switch version. But it also makes up for it again by letting the charge 1 be used a lot more liberally in the Switch version. Oh yeah, I didn't really even explain the Switch version's charge. So the charge mechanic in the Switch version is like the one in the Wii U version, only you don't zoom in, and the Pikmin will swarm only one group at a time. And all you have to do it is press the X button, and they automatically charge wherever you want to go. It's really instant. Which, again, big upside to the Switch game is that you don't have to, you know, manually zoom in and then shake the nunchuck to charge. And also, big ups to the Switch version, it's not tied to the dismiss button. There have been way too many times, I think it happened in this play session in the Wii U version too, where, you know, I try to charge my Pikmin into an enemy, and maybe I charge it one too many times, or, you know, my wrist fidgeting because of my, you know, 24-year-old arthritis ends up being the game registering me trying to dismiss the Pikmin as I'm charging them, which leads to them not actually charging the enemy. I think you see that when I fight the Armored Maw-Dad. On top of the fact, too, that the Pikmin just kind of stop if they're too far away from what they're charging. Like, say, the Armored Maw-Dad's running away from them. They won't charge onto him if he's too far. Okay, back to the thing that's actually on screen right now. So, the game. As you can see, I'm kind of following pretty much the same route in both versions. I tried to stay as as true to the one version as I would to the other. But there's obviously going to be some minor discrepancies between the runs I make in one and the ones I make in another. The Switch one is still ahead by a significant margin, and that's purely because it got a head start, and also there are many little things that they've done that made this a little faster. I would say, based on personal experience, at first I wasn't a fan of the gyro. I thought it was a little... like, it felt a little too fluid, is I guess the way to put it. The motion control on the Wii remote and the nunchuck always made it so that you were accurate because you were pointing at a sensor bar. So, you know, the sensor bar remained in the same place, and your hands would remain in the same place, and it would be relative to that. The gyro doesn't have any point of reference like the Wii remote does with the sensor bar. So the issue with the gyro kind of becomes, well, if you kind of move your arm or you try to relax a little bit, it results in you kind of losing track of your motion, and the pointer goes all the way off into the middle of nowhere. But they really offset this by giving you a button that lets you just recenter the gyro whenever you want to. It just takes, you know, a little bit of attention and foresight to that. You have to kind of grow acclimated to the extra step it takes to control things, and the realization that you're not using a Wii remote compared to the what's the even term compared to, you know, just the gyro control. As you can see in the Switch version, we are moving pretty quick. I did do things a little bit out of order compared to the Wii U version. I am now noticing. You see the bulb orb on the Switch version is just being carried, whereas it's already at the on the Wii U version. But I think I made up for this by doing other things in the Switch version a little bit earlier. At least I believe I did. Ah, yes, I didn't go back there yet, but I did go back there the first time. In any case, you'll be able to compare, you know, both the real-time and the in-game time, thanks to the timers here, on how much it took in mission compared to how long it took in real time, which we'll have that comparison a little later on. I just think it's it's pretty funny because, as you can see right now, I'm just rushing to try to do the last thing on the Switch version, and it's done. So we had literally 1 minute left to spare, and the mission was complete. And oh, look at that! We're just crossing the 1 minute mark left in the Wii U version. It's at 53 seconds, 52 seconds. Okay, we had 52 seconds to spare there. Again, pretty much the same routes, pretty much the same same gameplay experience. Only the difference is the Wii U version, 1, loads a bit slower, and 2, there's a little bit less going on there that can kind of help you figure certain things out. This should be a pretty good indicator just by the gameplay alone. The Switch version makes the game run a little faster, but if you're not convinced, we will move on directly and immediately to the Day 2 gameplay in the Garden of Hope. So I will see you guys in a second for that. Alright, so it's the Garden of Hope. The first thing I want to note here is the difference in text for the Garden of Hope, and also the difference in loading time here for the Garden of Hope. So you load it in super fast in the Switch version as is expected, and you can mash through the screens a little bit faster, I noticed too. One of the things that is pretty apparent initially, and you'll see it once I start sprouting Pikmin and everything, is that you actually get a couple of extra Pikmin in the Switch version compared to the Wii U. That pellet posy, there's 2 of them by the dead ball board there in the Switch, and there's only 1 in the Wii U. And keep in mind, this is in hard mode too, so I think maybe they'll just remove the extra one in ultra spicy, but it was just really weird to me that the hard mode is giving you crutches that make it easier compared to the Wii U version. But I digress. There are also a number of numerous changes to the area here that have kind of just given an advantage to the Switch version by a tremendous margin. For example, once you get back behind the barricade, the sand wall here, you'll be able to see both of them do that pretty much at the same time. Actually, the Wii version is a little faster. So in the Switch version, kind of mess it up there, but you see there is an egg there that gives you nectar. You usually don't get nectar until a little later in the game. So the fact that you got it this early on here definitely is a major advantage to how quick the Switch version is compared to the Wii U, because the Pikmin aren't as stupid. They won't trip, they won't lag behind you. That is also another thing just about the Switch version compared to the Wii U that makes it a little bit better, is that the Pikmin do not lag behind you at all. Even if they're Leaf Pikmin, they will still follow you at max speed, which definitely makes a lot of the gameplay experience a lot more easier to manage, because you don't have to worry about Pikmin trailing behind and falling. So one of the things you'll notice here with the Death of the Bulbul in the Switch version compared to the Wii U version is that the Wii U version of the game, the charge mechanic makes it so that the Bulbul just die right away. But the charge mechanic in this game, for some reason, it's a little less, what's the term I'm looking for? A little less they die fast and a little more they die when they want to, which is weird because one of the significant changes in the Switch version of this game is that enemy health is drastically lower. Like, you can throw like 5 or 6 rock Pikmin on impact at an enemy and the enemy's just dead. And that's pretty crazy to me. It also goes into, so one of the things I wanted to mention was, if you see on the Switch version, the kind of sand wall there has some markings on it. I was wondering why they changed the aesthetic of that. So some textures have been changed from the Wii U version. I assume that the markings on the sand wall indicate that this is a direction you need to go for story progression, because some of them don't have them. The sand walls, I should say. And those ones that don't have the markings aren't directly tied to story progression in any way, shape, or form. But those that are tied to story progression have some sort of marking on them. It's strange. I don't know what the reason is. I assume that's what the reason is. In any case, you're kind of seeing the 2 games kind of start meeting up now. Once again, the Wii U version was a bit ahead for a couple seconds, and it was purely ahead because the game just was a lot smoother and easier to control for me at that specific moment in time, just because of how easy it was to snap from one place to another with the Wii Remote compared to, moving the gyro and making sure it was centered. But now you can see the Switch version is immediately catching up because the rock Pikmin can break crystal structures much more quickly than they can in the Wii version on Switch. So on Switch, you'll see as we kind of go toward the barricade to free Brittany, that the rock Pikmin, once you get all, I think it's 22 of them, can break down the wall leading to Brittany and the one that she's directly behind, literally with just one throw of each of the Pikmin in your party, versus the Wii U version, which requires multiple throws, and this is kind of where most of the time is saved in the Switch version. So just like that, they're done on Switch, and then look at that, the Wii U is still stuck, and this is where all that time goes back to the Switch version, pretty much. definitely an amazing quality of life change. I love that rock Pikmin are essentially a lot more overpowered now. I wonder how this is going to be versus the Plasma Wraith, because that's kind of how a lot of people fought the Plasma Wraith, since the Plasma Wraith has a move that can pretty much instant kill all of your Pikmin, just like that. On the Wii U, but it can't instant kill the rock Pikmin. So I went in with like 100 rock Pikmin trying to kill it and avoiding all the hazards and stuff. But I don't know how it's gonna go with this. Like, if rock Pikmin are just that much more broken with impact damage, if they'll just kill it outright. But you know, only time will tell once the game comes out with that. So one of the minor things I think I noticed I think I forgot the pellets in the Wii U version here, the 5 and the 2 1s that are nearby. So the Pikmin discrepancy is going to be a bit different, but I ended up saving time by avoiding those pellets anyway. Oh, and you're going to see on the Wii U version that one of the big changes they made is that, so you couldn't get the Go Here feature on the Copad until after you broke that third glass wall leading to the fiery blowhogs near the end. But in the Switch version, you get it as soon as you get Brittany. Like, literally the data file for it shows up right away. So that instantly makes it easier to kind of manage what your captains are doing and how to, you know, plan your day immediately then. Because, you know, I could just send Alf straight over to the rock Pikmin onion while they're all trying to put all their, you know, the enemies in there and harvest them. I'm stumbling over my words a little, guys. I'm sorry. Again, I don't really do the whole commentating over things thing that often. So, yeah, the Switch version just has so many weird but kind of necessary quality of life changes, because, and I'm curious to see how they're going to do it a lot later in the game, because one of the issues with this Switch version that I think is going to rear itself later in playthroughs and with the more difficult challenge modes is the lack of access of the Copad. Kind of remembering that it exists and that you need to use it, because that was really the most fluid part of Pikmin 3, is being able to just use the Wii U gamepad while you have the Wii Remote and Nunchuck and just touch on the pad and move it around and pick where you wanted to go and plan out your day immediately. And not having that immediate access to the Copad will probably hinder, in my opinion, the real-time speedrunning of the game. It'll probably make it a little harder in real time, but the day speedrunning, where you do it in, you know, the least amount of days possible, will likely be a bit faster. Though, again, with all the weird quality of life changes, unless you're playing on ultra spicy mode, where, you know, you're limited to 60 Pikmin anyway, it probably will balance itself out, or the Switch version will just be faster in general, especially with these quick loading speeds. I mean, you saw it initially, but this game loads so much faster on Switch than it does on Wii U. Also, I recorded this with the same capture cards, same exact settings on both games. If you notice, the lighting is dramatically better on the Switch version. The colors look a lot more vibrant and full as well. I'm assuming they just changed the lighting around a little bit in the game to make it look more visually appealing. I'm sorry for all those people who are seeing the rock Pikmin burn in the Wii U version. I wanted to go as fast as possible. But, yeah. So Pikmin 3 Deluxe, I'm very, very excited for this game. There are so many little changes they're making, and I want to see how much they're going to expand these little changes in the final release. I'm also very excited to see what the new Almar and Louis side stories are going to be like, especially since they lack access. If you haven't seen my last video on it, they lack access to the Copads, so it's going to be like more like Pikmin 2. There's going to be areas gated off, and I don't believe you can throw your captains as well. I think you can't throw Louis in those ones. I haven't seen anyone throw Louis, at least not yet, so maybe I'm wrong, but it really seems like they're kind of Pikmin 2ing the Pikmin 3 Deluxe side stories, and then there are the epilogue ones, which we haven't seen yet. Now, if you guys remember from the Switch game of Pikmin 3, or not the Switch game. I'm sorry. If you guys remember from the Wii U port of Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Wii U game. It's not a port. It's the original game back. Oh my god. If you remember from that game, then you would remember there are 5 Olimar data logs and 1 Louis data log. Now, some people are saying, oh, well, they're probably going to put the Louis data log in as, you know, like the epilogue one, but that doesn't make sense since the epilogue would be the events after Pikmin 3. And we actually don't have any canonical story stuff to go by for the events after Pikmin 3. Everything that happens in Pikmin 3 is before the end of the game, at least story-wise. So there's definitely going to be some new content, maybe not new cutscenes, but, you know, I'd love to see the President return as a playable character in the epilogue. I'd love to see brand new environments. Again, just give us some of those, you know, unused E3 demo environments. I would be the happiest boy in the world. Though, you know, I don't know. Maybe they probably won't do that. They'll probably just make them like really easy baked-in challenge modes. But one of the things I am so excited for is that, you know, a lot of these quality of life changes I'm hoping we will see eventually in Pikmin 4, because these are obvious signs that the Pikmin team is cooking something up. If they're putting this much effort in changing a lot of the features and structures of Pikmin 3, these quality of life changes likely exist because they're going to be in a future Pikmin installment. So, as you can see now, very much far ahead in the Switch version. I'm already fighting the Armored Maudad there, whereas Brittany's still plucking the 94 Pikmin that are left. Or is it Alpha? It's Alpha, yeah, it's Alpha, it's plucking them. Yeah, so you'll see right away, enemy health bar goes bye-bye very quick with the Armored Maudad. He's pretty much dead, but he health gates because he's really annoying and he's an asshole. So he climbs on the ceiling. It tells me the day is almost over. Yep, I know. Day is almost over. And just like that, he is dead. So as you can see here, I have enough time by the end of the day to also carry over at least the required treasure for the day here in order to get to the next area on the Switch version. Spoiler alert, on the Wii U version, I pretty much kill the Armored Maudad and don't have enough time to do anything else. So, significantly, there were so many things that made the Pikmin 3 Deluxe Switch demo a lot faster than the Wii U game in terms of its in-game time, and even just, you know, as you can see via the gameplay, the real time. So many tiny things that, you know, whether it's like giving you just 2 extra Pikmin with that one pellet posy at the beginning, or the faster charge mechanic, or enemy health being drastically lowered. Oh yeah, I'm struggling to kill the Armored Maudad here too. That doesn't help at all, but, you know, I'm already behind as it is. So, commentating on it now, I mentioned earlier about the problem with, you know, the swarm or charge feature in this game compared to the Switch version, and it is significant. As you can see here, the Pikmin kind of just stop. They just kind of stop, and I think part of it is because Brittany got hit, so they just kind of didn't know what to do. But then here, you know, again, they just kind of stop, which is a bit annoying. The last thing to mention too, I almost forgot to mention it. So Pikmin 3 Deluxe also features your whistle being the size of Mount Rushmore. It is significantly bigger than the Wii U whistle, and I think that's to serve the fact that, you know, you don't have the fluid snapping motion of the Wii remote and nunchuck, which, you know, makes it a little bit easier to, or a little bit more difficult to, you know, just get all your Pikmin at once. So, you know, I kind of like that change, but it's also resulted in some really weird issues happening. Another really weird change that I don't know if I'm a huge fan of quite yet is that if you whistle Pikmin that are doing active tasks, they'll just stop. And that's, I don't know why. I guess it's better than them just not doing anything, I guess. Or just, you know, stopping what they're doing and then you having to throw them back on. But it's just a weird change. In any case, this has been Pikmin 3 Deluxe compared to Pikmin 3 Wii U Showcase. Very obviously, Pikmin 3 Deluxe is a superior port by load speeds, by lighting, gameplay, the whole 9 yards. I would 100% pick it up when you have the opportunity. Even if you've played Pikmin 3, supporting more Pikmin is always a good thing. Because supporting more Pikmin means Nintendo knows that people like Pikmin. And you know, I like Pikmin and I want to see Pikmin succeed. In any case, thank you guys for watching. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace.